This week, I caught myself saying something that I've said quite a lot lately, and I'm just tired. And not necessarily physical tired or even emotionally overwhelmed, just tired in my spirit. And I started wondering, what if some of what I'm calling burnout isn't burnout at all? What if it's resistance? Because here's what I've noticed. You start praying more seriously, you decide to clean up your habits, you commit to obedience, in something small. And strangely, life doesn't get lighter, it gets heavier. You try to get closer to God and distractions multiply. You try to forgive and the memory gets louder. You try to step into purpose and insecurity tightens its grip. It makes you think something's wrong with you. But what if something's right? There's a story most people don't talk much about. In the book of Second Kings, there's a king named Uzziah. Not David, not Moses, not Elijah, Uzziah. He actually did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. Scripture says he sought God. And as long as he sought God, God made him prosper. Everything went well, influence grew, strength increased, victory followed. But here's the subtle shift. It says, "But when he became strong, his heart grew proud. Then came, strength came, success came, but then pride slipped in quietly. And the very place he was once humbled became the place he collapsed." Here's the tension. Growth invites opposition, and victory invites vulnerability. The higher you rise spiritually, the more subtle the battle becomes. Not always temptation to do something obviously evil. Sometimes it's just something simple like self reliance. It's distraction, a little subtle pride, a little weariness. And we call it burnout. But what if it's targeted discouragement? There's another story in 1 Kings 13 about a young prophet sent to deliver a hard word. God gave him very specific instructions. Deliver the message, don't eat there, don't drink there, return the same way you came. And he obeys. He stands boldly before a king, he delivers message faithfully. God even performs a miracle through him. Everything goes right, and then an older prophet lies to him, claims an angel gave new instructions. The young prophet believes him, he disobeys, and it costs him everything. Now, here's what grips me about that story. He didn't fall because of lust, he didn't fall because of greed. He fell because he got tired and let someone else's voice override God's. He won the public battle, but he lost the private vigilance. You resist the big temptation, you stay faithful in the obvious areas, and you do the right thing when it's visible. And then, in a quiet moment, you compromise something small because you're tired, you're worn down, because the constant tension of obedience feels exhausting. See, we always talk about Elijah calling fire down from heaven, but right after that moment, after one of the greatest spiritual victories recorded in Scripture, he runs, not from armies, from a threat. And he collapses under a tree and says, "I've had enough." Victory happened, power moved, but exhaustion followed immediately. The enemy couldn't stop the miracle, so he targeted the prophet's mind. And here's the part that always moves me. God didn't rebuke Elijah. He let him sleep, he fed him, he strengthened him. Sometimes the attack isn't meant to destroy you instantly. It's meant to drain you slowly. If the enemy can't make you sin boldly, he'll try to make you quit quietly. Maybe the heaviness you've been feeling isn't because you're failing. Maybe it's because you're pressing into something that matters. Maybe the resistance means you're moving in the right direction. Think about it. You decided to pray constantly and distractions explode. Maybe you have Just decided to lead your family more spiritually and conflict arises. You decide to pursue purity and temptation seems to intensify. I don't think this is random. That's friction. And friction only happens when something is moving forward. So, what do? First, let's stop labeling every spiritual battle as personal weakness. Second, we need to learn to protect our private obedience more than our public wins. The young prophet fell in a quiet meal. Uzziah fell in private pride, and Elijah almost quit in isolation. The battlefield is rarely the spotlight. It's the unseen space, the tired thoughts, the subtle compromises, and the moments no one would know. We need to guard these moments because the enemy studies patterns, he waits for fatigue, he watches for isolation, and then he whispers when you are spiritually depleted. If this message hits you, it's not condemnation, it's awareness. The fact that you feel tension means you care. The fact that you're wary means you've been fighting. And the fact that you're still here means you haven't quit. And God is not surprised by your exhaustion. He doesn't stand over you disappointed. He stands near you, strengthening. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is rest without guilt and return without shame. So maybe you're not burnt out. Maybe you're under pressure because you're close to a breakthrough. Maybe the weight you're feeling is proof that what you're building matters. Don't mislabel resistance as failure. Don't confuse fatigue with defeat. And don't let a quiet compromise undo a loud obedience. Stay steady, stay watchful, stay humble. Because sometimes the reason it feels harder is because it actually counts more than you realize. If this resonated with you, comment the word steady below. And if you know someone who has been spiritually tired lately, send this to them. You might be the reminder they need.